Sell everything panic slams Bitcoin, gold, silver, equities. And with the Qs going by last trade 705 on the nose, the obvious question of this day is, do you really have nothing to worry about like I said yesterday, or is shit about to hit the fan? Please do me a huge favor, because if you stick around to the end, we'll not only cover a number of charts, Bitcoin approaching the buy zone in gold and silver, and I might even give you a free penny stock pick. But do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, share it with everyone you know. If there was ever a video to watch to the end, it's this one. I don't care if you do business with me or not. That link, of course, is pinned in the top comment below. You are going to learn something. You're going to take away something so you don't panic at the lows and get all FOMO'd the fuck up at the highs. With that said, let's go to the charts. 12-month on the Qs, last trade near low on day of 704.72, down almost $9. There's a saying out there that goes something like this. People hear what they want to hear. And anyone who heard me say, you've got nothing to worry about yesterday, is go, oh my God, was this guy wrong? This bull market's coming to an end. Wrong. Oh, by the way, wrong. This is a massive secular bull market that began in the depths of hell in March of 2009. The prior two secular bulls post-World War II and the 1980s and 90s leading up until the dot-com bubble burst in March 2000 were 27 and 26 years respectively. You can pull a scamdemic like they did in 2020, which was nothing more than a money laundering event where they issued 40% of all US dollars in circulation the first 6 months of that year. The jab, of course, was the Trojan horse. You can do a fake trade war last year. Took us down 30% in a matter of 6 weeks, and then up a record amount of almost 50% or more in an equal amount of time. You can have a mini war. You can have nukes going off. You can have fucking aliens invading, whether it's AI, simulation, or not. It's coming. But you cannot stop, as was the case coming out of World War II, and then again during the 80s and 90s when we were raging in the midst of the internet that Al Gore invented, and I was a broker. Yeah, that's a joke. But he tried to take credit. I was a broker on Wall Street from 93 to 07. I've made all the mistakes, including going bankrupt in 08, so you don't have to. If you fucking listen to me, like you could have done in the last 12 months, you would have made 10 times on your money. Let me say that again. Had you been in the pinned comment below, buy 1 month, get 2 free. That's a $600 credit on sign up. Cancel anytime, you would have made 10x on your money in less than a year. Over 20x on your money in less than 3 years. We have more than 500 wins against only 25 losses. And even with today's drawdowns, we only have 2 stocks that are down more than 10%, and barely that from where we own them. And in case you didn't hear me at the open, I'm going to give you at least 1, maybe even 2 of them for free. Just make sure you subscribe and hit the bell and share this with every single person you know. As I just said a minute ago, this is a demographic freight train. And shout out before I forget to the clown in my comments yesterday. Oh, millennials don't have any money. You know, this bull market's coming to an end in the next 6 months. Wrong. They say that you are the equal of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. I guarantee that motherfucker, and he's not the only one, is probably hanging out with a bunch of basement dwellers. And while I rarely roll around in the mud with the pigs anymore because you end up smelling like shit, it's relevant to the situation that we're currently in. You must get the hell away from the Debbie Downers. One of the reasons why most of you are panicking near the lows and getting FOMO'd up at the highs is you're trading alone. And even worse, you're watching the fake news and you're hanging out with people that don't even have 2 nickels to rub together. Or as my late father used to say, not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. And it's no wonder you think the world's coming to an end when in fact, the next 8 or 9 years will be the most transformational wealth creation in the history of humankind. There are tens of millions of millennials that are at work right now, along with Gen Z, twice as large as the boomers, pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into 401ks, IRAs, every single month of the year. And because we have a lot fewer IPOs like a SpaceX and soon to be Anthropic and OpenAI, because most of them stay private a lot longer, when combined with massive corporate buybacks, there's limited supply. You add in $7 trillion of dumb retail to go along with massive AI productivity gains that are just getting started and rates that are about to come down big time, with oil just now touching 69. And don't go anywhere. Is it time to buy silver? I'll let you know before the end of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going up 5, 6, 7, 800% or more in the next 8 or 9 years. And yes, when we have a bankrupt social security system, nearly a third of human capital out of work in 2035 or thereabouts, the entire fucking world is going to go bankrupt. But every dip, every manufactured chaos like the canceling of this fucking housing bill by the Trumpster is an opportunity to buy stocks. So when I go back to the charts, if I may, and we're about to cover Bitcoin, gold, and silver, I don't want to hear a word out of any of the fucking bears until we break that 50-day moving average on a closing basis, which is 699, and then take out this level right here. You take out the low from 2.5, 3 weeks ago at 686. You're then going to fill this gap, which I've discussed many times, down to 680. But then you've got this massive brick fucking wall, the double top former all-time high at, let's call it 640. That's your max pain right above the blue line, which is the rising 200-day moving average. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nothing more than a reversion to the mean. This is nothing more than a mid-cycle, midterm summer correction. And if I had to give you an estimate, it's 2/3 over. We can go up or down 4 or 5% in the blink of an eye, depending on the news flow. I just gave you the gap at 680, max pain to 640. So at some point between now and the first week of October, fun fact of the day, markets bottom on average since 1957 on October 5th during a midterm year, October 27th in every other year. Allow me, if I may, the guy who's 10x in the last 12 months with a 97.6% win rate, to have a sip of my coffee. Cheers. So what do you do? Aside from click the link below, you know I'm literally paying people $300. 99% of you apparently don't get third grade math. It's $300 to get in the door. That got rid of all the clowns. The minute you sign up, I give you $600 for our Discord. We're up 10x in 12 months, 20x plus in less than 3 years. So I'm essentially paying you $300 to hang out with us for 90 days, cancel anytime. And yet we average 1 new sign up a week. Thousands will watch this video. 99.9% scared to death or trying to make up an excuse that I'm not worth $7 a day. You wouldn't pay me a cup of coffee to make 4, 5, 10x on your money? My fucking ass. More importantly, back to the charts. What the hell is going on now that we covered the cues with respect to Bitcoin? Let's start there. And then I'll cover gold and silver. Well, in the last hour, we just broke the low of 59,250. We've bounced up, so they flushed the stops. I do not think we're done going down. Why do I say that? We're still heading lower on the daily stows. That's got a ways to go. And we're about to, in the next 48 hours, most likely have a bearish crossover, still below the zero line in the daily MACD. So when I go out to the monthly chart, and if you're new, welcome. I've covered this several times before, but we're right now sitting on top of the 50-period moving average of 59 and change with respect to Bitcoin. But if you know anything about crypto, it's typically 3 years up, 1 year down. The last time we had a down phase from here to here, the minute you got to the zero line, we're there right now or slightly above it. Once you went under, you still had 1, 2, 3, 4 candles until you bottomed at 16K. That was a 17% additional drawdown. So yes, we could go down to 45, 50K, maybe even lower in Bitcoin, 1,300 or thereabouts in Ethereum. And someone's going to have to do a wellness call for Michael Saylor and the great Tom Lee if that happens. But it will be the buy of this particular cycle, because up here we topped at 126 and change. That was in October. So down, just like we did here, going under the zero line, another 3 or 4 months would bottom us out somewhere in the first half of October, which again, since 1957, we've had 17 midterm cycles. We bottom on average October 5th. So you've got another few months of up a little, quite possibly down a bit more. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Why trade alone? Why the fuck wouldn't you take me up on the offer? I'm paying you $300. If you have experience, you can take a punch. Most people can't. I should say most men can't. And you can get along with other people, including this guy right here, but I don't put up with any bullshit. Neither did Peyton Manning, Roger Clemens, Vince Lombardi, Nick Saban, Bill Parcells. I could keep going. The best of the best, guys like myself that have gone from less than 50 grand to my name a few years ago to millions, have a right to be a motherfucker and insist the game is played properly. So if you don't play by the rules, so to speak, I'm going to throw your fucking ass out. 250 people are going to get rich on my watch in the next 8 or 9 years. Some of you are going to become millionaires, or even, in the case of myself, multi-millionaires. We have a system. We index ETFs, but we only buy when it's down more than 10% in a given year. We only buy penny stocks or small caps that are already down 90, 95% or more. And I'll give you at least one of them before this video is over. And the combination of that and easing our way in by only buying a third of a position on a trade and then scaling in small, or what we call adding small, on the remaining 2/3 ensures that when we have corrections like this, when everybody else is levered to the gills in the midst of the Japanese carry trade unwind, which, keeping it simple, stupid, means institutions for years borrowed cheap money near zero. And as the Japanese government is raising their 10-year from 0 to 1%, all this leverage, including in gold and silver, which I'm about to get to, is being flushed out of the system. And it's about 2/3 over. Can you survive the final third? Can you hang in there until the first week of October? Yes or no? Let's go back to the charts. We've covered Bitcoin. Easily flushed down to 50. The closer it gets to that level, I'm a buyer, and I'll get more aggressive the lower it goes. I personally don't think it's going lower than right there. That's 42.5. They're probably going to be sitting there in droves, so slightly higher than that. So as I said a minute ago, you're down to the final 10 or 15% flush, which could last 3 or 4 months into the first week of October for virtually all the crypto, and that includes Solana, Ethereum, etc. All right. What the fuck is going on with silver? Whoops. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click that link below if you want to get involved in this opportunity. There's a monthly chart on silver. If you go to my YouTube, in fact, let's do that. If you're going to log off at this point because you're not interested in what I have to say, then you can go fuck yourself. I highly encourage you to follow me on the community, aka Home Wall. I posted this earlier. Silver is now 56 and a quarter last time I looked, so we're very close to the buy zone, which is 50 to 55. SpaceX, I told you as we scroll down, I told you to buy it at 150 and change, and blow it out. Where is that post? CDT, you could have doubled your money not once, but twice. SpaceX up 48% at 2.25 on a recommendation. Take some profits. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Nailed it within an hour. RKDA, another 27% in 2.5 hours. DFNS, if you bought it before it got fucking crushed, you made 70%, if not more. Follow me on the home channel right here. But if I look at my videos, and I appreciate you sticking with me, one of the least watched videos I've ever done, along with the most thumbs down, right here, ladies and gentlemen. What does that say? Sell silver 117 and rebuy low 60s. Well, I told you to rebuy it, and I posted that as well at 61.78, and then sell it again near 90, which we did a few weeks ago. And now I'm fucking telling you to start buying back silver, gold 3,800. I'll go back to the chart in a second. It does not mean you go all the way in, because we're real close on silver in this sell everything, get out of leveraged longs demolition that we're currently in. You establish a third of a position between 50 and 55 spot silver. A little bit lower than that, 47.51 on the iShares. The lower we go, in the case of silver, going back to the charts, and I appreciate you sticking with me, the more aggressive you get. This right here is the 2011 high of, let's call it $50 a share, which was also the high in 1980. I did a video within hours of the fucking top I just showed you way up here. What was I saying during that video? At the time, the red line, which is a 50-period moving average on the monthly, was in the upper 20s. And I said, I don't care if it's tulips in the 1600s. I don't care if it's dot-com stocks when I was a broker in the late 1990s, or fucking gold and silver. When you go parabolic, when you get way far away, 3, 4, 5x from home base, Houston, you've got a problem. And I said it was going to get cut in half. That's exactly what happened. You had a chance to rebuy at 61.78, sell it again at 90, and the buy, if you will, for those of you that are looking to get long for the next run up and through 100, and yeah, I do believe that'll be the case before the end of the decade, because the demand for silver in particular is real. The build out of AI, robotics, data centers, etc. is real. But you cannot get above your long-term moving averages, and that's what they are. They have gravity for very long. You're going to come back down to motherfucking earth, and that's exactly what we did. Now, in the lower right corner, we have not had the bearish crossover yet in the monthly MACD, which to me means at a minimum, we're going to 50, and they're most likely going to want to flush the stops at that level. There'll be a lot of support at the top. I say a lot. Some support at the top of that breakup candle high of, let's call it 46.5. So are you wrong getting long right now at 56 and change? No, you're not wrong. You're early on silver, but you're not wrong in that spot. The iShare is a little bit lower. As a matter of fact, and I appreciate you sticking with me, this will be my last video of the week, and it's probably one of the most important ones that you'll ever see, and including a free stock pick by the end. But let's go to the iShares if you don't mind. Yeah, so there's a $5 difference. So if I'm buying spot silver between 50 and 55, I'm waiting for the flush at 50, and then there's going to be support right here. So I gave you support at 46.5 on spot. The same level is going to be 43.5 or thereabouts on the iShares. You're closer right here in the lower right to the bearish crossover. You're halfway down the turn on the monthly stochastics. Looking at the weekly, and this is what I find interesting. You're much closer, and you've got a double bottom. That is a classic double bottom on the weekly stochastics. So at some point in the midst of this cluster, there's going to be a bottom. The iShares, 43.5, 44, 45. If you want to start buying some on the flush through 50, that's fine. Just understand you're early. And for anyone who's doubting my ability, go watch that silver video. I nailed the top within a few hours. I've nailed trades. I call tops and bottoms in the stock, in the silver, in the gold, in the just about anything market. And while it does seem like I'm an ego fucking maniac, and I do have one to a degree, so do you. It's a gift from God. I can't change the tire, and forget about the oil. We're going to be sitting on the side of the road all night long. But you give me a cup of coffee, pin comment, you pay me $300, I give you $600, 90 days. You then lock in and save 30% a year. It's a cup of coffee a day. You're buying me one cup of coffee. That's all I ask. I'll tell you exactly what to buy and when to sell. And during times like this, I do 3 or 4 or 5 videos a day in the Discord. You never see any of that. I'll keep you, along with my team, and we are one, from panicking at the lows and getting FOMO at the highs. The folks that are in there right now, about 140 strong, 500 have come and gone. Most of them a bunch of clowns. They're battle tested. They're badass motherfuckers who can take a punch, follow directions, and as David, who you'll probably see in the comments, will tell you, he remains as calm as a Hindu cow. Whereas in the past, he and many others would panic. Folks, before I give you the free stock pick, in closing, nothing surprises me. You cannot stop a demographic freight train. They're going to pull some sort of nuke going off. The aliens are coming most likely in 2029 when Trump says, see you later. That'll be their next excuse to print $6 or $7 trillion before the whole fucking world goes bankrupt. 6 years later, right? They printed $7 trillion in 2020. What year is this? 2026. If they print another $7 trillion on an alien invasion, whether it's real or not, or some form of a nuke going off in 2029 when Daddy Trump is not here to take care of you and me, what is 6 years forward from that date? Well, that's right. 2035. When it all comes to an end. I hope at least some of you take advantage of the pinned comment below and as a way of saying thank you. Let's pull one of these stocks, maybe 2, that I'm currently buying. All right. Let's go back to the charts. 12-month chart of Volato, SOAR. I'm rebuying this for, I want to say the 3rd time. Last trade, 16 and change, which is the current limit. Under our system, you pay no more than 16.5 on limit 16. As you can see, you're starting to curl a little bit on the daily stows. You had this massive breakout up here. I personally think it was somewhat corrupt, where they pumped it up to 50 cents and said, oh, by the way, we changed our mind. We're not going to do the rare earth, which I said was a fucking scam merger all along. You don't merge with a rare earth company that was trading at the time at 2 pennies when your stock, when you announced the deal to begin with, was close to $1.50. That was a fucking scam of the highest order. However, it doesn't mean we can't make money. So going back to the charts, you ran to 50 cents, you filled the gap, and you may have heard the news. Allow me to go to the 5-minute chart, where not long ago, if I may, up here, you had an insider take 7.5% of SOAR. VTAC, Catheter, another stock I've traded in the past. It was cranking this morning. I'm not sure about right now. Still cranking, but it was up way up here at $1.80. The guy that runs VTAC owns 7.5%, roughly $6.5 million of SOAR at a price of 34 fucking cents. So he's been cut in half. We're buying it right now for the 3rd time at 16. Some of it I got at 15.80. So whether you join us in the Discord or not, SOAR, which is looking for AI, it's a news catalyst waiting to happen. Reverse merger, a new SPAC, fill in the blank. They're getting away from the rare earth scam and they're concentrating on their profitable aviation business and look for some sort of a combination. If they do that, obviously the guy who owns 7.5%, who's currently underwater 50% at 34 cents, is going to look to make some money on that. Obviously, if we're buying at 16, you're going to do the same. You know what? Should I give you another one for free? Is anybody going to return the favor by joining us? Is anyone even watching in what has to be one of the best, most valuable videos? Yeah, I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one, ladies and gentlemen. 12-month chart of Audia, AUUD, current limit 126. This is also a rebuy because we sold the stock a couple of weeks ago on this pump. Actually, right here. Way up here to nearly $1.85. We got out at exactly 170. The Peacocks had about an hour to squawk, and they always do. And then it fucking fell apart. We started buying it here, got a little bit as low as 122. We sold a third inside the Discord at 143 right here a few days ago. We're now buying it all back at 126. This is an audio AI play. And until next time with a limit of 126, always remember, whether you do business with me or not, that I love you. And thank you so very much for watching.